What's up, guys? Another early morning dip into the CD collection. We're just gonna keep on, keeping on, keep up where we were, pick up, I guess, where we left off on the last video. Still in the seas. First up, we have a Swedish death metal project band that's always just kind of been there. I recently, not just super recently, but I finally started to get into some of their material, kind of see what they were all about, and I've enjoyed everything that I've heard from them. This is Sentinex. First up, we have Hell Brigade. This was released back in 2002 on Candlelight USA. Good Swedish death metal. As I was saying, that they were a band that was just kind of always there for me. I didn't really dip into their material too much. I just kind of overlooked them, and then I started going back and it's been years ago now, but I've kind of started to revisit some of their material, listen to it, and I was finding that I was enjoying everything that I heard. Um, Next up, we have Sentinex with Diabolical Desolation. Um, yeah, I started going back and kind of retracing and listening to their stuff that they put out, and I wasn't finding anything that I really just didn't like. And when a band's been around as long as this band has and churned out as much material that they have, that's kind of a testament to them as a band of how good their material is. Just because I was enjoying everything that I heard. Obviously, you're going to have certain spots within such a lengthy discography that there's going to be some stuff that you like more than others, but I wasn't finding anything that I really just didn't like. So I definitely want to go out of my way, I guess, and start adding more of the Sentinex material into my collection. This is probably my favorite release that I've heard from them. This is Sentinex with World Declension. There we go. I got the three that I just showed, including this one, all about the same time, within the same general time period. I think all three of these were released through Candlelight, and I think the artwork on this particular release was the one that kind of drew me in first, and had me spend some time with the material. And this one has kind of been just my favorite, just because it was the first Sentinex album that I really just kind of dove into head first and spent time with. I do enjoy all three of those, but that one is probably my favorite. And then I picked up their 2014 release entitled Redeeming Filth. Honestly, thought this one had been out. Not I didn't think this one had been out that long. I guess it's been 7 years now. To me, it did not feel like it had been out that long. I know they put out an album last year. Um, every time that I went to find a copy to purchase, the price tag on it was just ridiculous, and I didn't want to spend $30 on a CD on a new release. I thought that was a bit crazy, but just with shipping prices the way they are, and the way that the world is now, maybe one day I'll get my hands on that newest Sentinex. But moving on, we have some metalcore. This is a band called Century, and this release is entitled Faith and Failure. I got this in a Tribunal Records grab bag. I don't really seek out a ton of metalcore anymore. It's just not an area where my tastes tend to gravitate towards anymore. This is one that I probably never would have sought out and purchased on my own had it not come in that little like mystery box. It's actually pretty good. I was surprised with how much I enjoyed this release. I was not expecting great things, and I guess when you set the bar low, you set yourself up to be surprised and pleasantly surprised. So that was actually a pretty good release there from Century. Next up, we have a little sampler CD. This is from 2008. This is a Century Media spring sampler. I know if you've been collecting albums and stuff as long as I have, you probably came across tons of different kind of Century Media samplers. They used to put out these little cardboard sampler CDs all the time. And these are kind of fun every once in a while for me to go back and see what was kind of coming out. Like 2007, 2008, you've got some bands on here. Lots of deathcore on this one. I was surprised. I guess I shouldn't be, because that was kind of the heyday. But you've got like Suicide Silence is on there. Despised Icon, that's another big one. Terror, I'm not a Terror fan, that's on there, but it's kind of, some of the stuff on here is not that bad. So, next up, moving on, we have an international project. This was released in 2006. I think it was the only album that they ever put out. It had one member here from the States, and then a member, I believe, located over in the UK. This is a band called Century Sleeper, and the name of this album was Awaken. This is a pretty decent release. I like this one quite a bit. It's kind of this gothy doom metal project, and I was pretty impressed with this. Kind of nature-driven gothy doom metal, so that's definitely something that would be right up my alley, and I did enjoy this one quite a bit. I think I purchased this from Redstream many years ago. Next up, these are all Relapse Records grab bag specials. They're all from the same band. Still got the little theft thing on the top, the little stickers. I like them quite a bit. Kind of grindy, maybe death grind, mix of death metal, grindcore. It's Cephalic Carnage, and this is the Lucid Interval EP. I think that was, no, this was a full length. Not the greatest artwork, in my opinion, but the music is pretty decent. This is probably, of the 3 Cephalic Carnage releases that I own, this is probably the one that I've spent the least amount of time with, if I'm going to be completely honest. And then this is probably the Cephalic Carnage album that I've spent the most time with. So we've gone from one extreme to the other. This is Xenosapien. This would, like, back when the Relapse grab bags, when I first started purchasing them, probably it was before I even started this channel, but they used to be full of death metal and grindcore. It wasn't all this kind of post metal and sludgy atmospheric stuff that you get now. There used to be tons of death metal, tons of grindcore, tons of death grind in those grab bags. I mean, it was great. And this one I got a couple times. I've rehomed probably 2 copies of this, despite me having a copy. But this one is definitely by far my favorite Cephalic Carnage release. Just nasty, filthy death grindy goodness. I have not listened to this in a while. To be completely honest, I haven't listened to this band in a while. But that's one thing I like about these videos. It makes me want to go back and revisit things that have kind of been neglected within the collection. And then we have Cephalic Carnage with Misled by Certainty. This one's pretty good as well. This one, I don't think this one's been out. I mean, at this point, it's been out many years, but compared to the others that I showed, it hasn't been out just too terribly long. I say too terribly long, probably 10 years, easy. And then it had the little Relapse little flyer. That was what I pulled out of the inside of it there. I kind of like keeping those as well. So when I do pull one of these off the shelf, something like this, I can kind of look back and then have like a complete nostalgia feel, seeing some of the material that was released around the same time period, and remembering some other albums while I listen to the one that I'm listening to. Next up, we have some brutal death metal out of Russia. This is Cephalic Impurity with a Unique Brute Revival. A pretty decent slab of brutal death metal. This is a band that kind of stands out in a genre where a lot of bands all sound the same. This is one that I do dig. A bit of technicality to their take on brutal death metal as well. Good stuff out of Russia there. And then this is also from the same band, Cephalic Impurity. This one is Eulogium for Incessancy. Yeah, that's one thing about brutal death metal bands. They're all about the alliteration. They're all about the tongue twisting on the album titles and the hard to pronounce words. They like to make me struggle, but it's all good. And this is also, as I said, brutal death metal out of Russia. I like this one. I think I like the the Unique Brute Revival album a bit more, but this one's pretty solid. I mean, it's right behind it. I think this was actually the last one that they put out. This came out in 2014. This is possibly the last release from them. I think I got that in a that one in a Secret Santa, we did like a Secret Satan at Christmas one year in a group that I was in, and I think that's one that I got in that. Next up, we have a Cerebral Bore with a Maniacal Miscreation. I've had this in my collection. This is one that I tend to go back and forth with. I've had this before. I sold it, bought it back, and it's been in the collection. I'm kind of back and forth with this band as a whole as to whether, I don't know, like sometimes I'll listen to this, I guess depending on the mood, and I'm really into it, and then sometimes I listen to it and I listen to a couple of tracks and I'm ready to move on to something else. But yeah, that's the only Cerebral Bore that I have. Next up, this band is pretty much a Cannibal Corpse ripoff. This is Cerebral Effusion with Smashed and Splattered Organs. I mean, it's not bad. It's brutal death metal, but the Cannibal Corpse vibes are so heavy in this. Honestly, I mean, if I'm listening to this, I just want rather go listen to Cannibal Corpse. I believe this band's out of Spain. I know they put out some other albums. I have not checked out their other material. Maybe they've got some stuff on that. It's a bit more of their own identity, but for me, this just felt like pure Cannibal Corpse worship. I mean, that's all that this was, which isn't bad, but at the same time, I would, when I want to hear Cannibal Corpse, I'll just listen to Cannibal Corpse. Next up, we've got the newest release from Cerebral Engorgement. This one is entitled Cerebral Chronicles. This was released in 2019 on Gorehouse. Good stuff here. I mean, more brutal death metal, tons of brutal death metal and death grind in this section of the CD collection. If you haven't noticed, I've got a good chunk of Gorehouse Productions material in the collection as well, as you guys will see as we go marching along through. But this one is a definite standout within there because that's some killer stuff. I like that artwork. Gorehouse projects tend to have some pretty decent artworks as a whole. Next up, this is a killer death metal release. This is one that it's kind of gotten better each time that I've listened to it. Had I spent more time with it when it came out, I probably would have had it on the end of the year list that year. This is Cerebral Rot with Odious Descent into Decay. I know a lot of people probably feel the same way I do about this release. I know it was pretty highly touted when it came out. I kind of delayed on listening to it because sometimes I'm let down when I see something that's getting that kind of praise and that kind of acclaim. I tend to not gravitate to it as quickly as other people just because I know I'm probably going to not enjoy it as much as some other people, and I don't like spending time on things that I don't like. I would rather just focus on things that I do like, and when I have people constantly, have you heard this yet, man? Have you heard this? Have you heard this? And I don't want to have to keep telling these people that obviously love this release over and over, like, yeah, I mean, it was okay, and I don't know, but this one exceeded my expectations. This was really good. Their newest release, I haven't spent a ton of time with. I know a lot of people are saying they're talking album of the year stuff. I definitely have not got that vibe from what I've heard from it, but it could be along the same lines as this, that I just need to get my hands on it and spend more time with it because this was a phenomenal release. Next up, we have Cerebral Turbulency. This is some death grind out of the 90s. I think this was got some material from a few different releases put on this and slapped on to one kind of compilation release. Good stuff here. Death grind, definitely death grind all through and through. Kind of has that late 90s, early 2000s feel of the death grind going on. And that is quite all right in my book. I enjoyed this one quite a bit as well. I tend to like this kind of weird stuff. I gravitate more to this either the underground or unknown type material a lot of times when I make these orders, I'm getting stuff in and I show it, and then people are like, I've never heard of what this guy's listening to over there. So next up, we have some black metal. There is actually some black metal in this in this section of the collection. This is some kind of symphonic, bit melodic black metal. I forget where this band is from. I'm wanting to say Sweden, but part of me thinks it might be the Netherlands. This is Ceremonial Embrace with Oblivion. This was the only full length that this band ever put out. It is a killer slab of black metal. I absolutely fell in love with this the first time that I heard it. This was put out on Displeased Records in 2001. So yeah, it's been out quite a bit. Maybe it has a location on this. Now that I'm kind of looking at it, I'm leaning more to this band is out of the Netherlands. Not your stereotypical black metal musician look there going on, but make no mistake about it, this is a nice symphonic black metal, melodic black metal release. Definitely check that out if that's a genre that you're keen on. Next up, we have another one of those Bridge 9 records grab bag releases. I haven't even opened this one yet. This was a band called Ceremony, and the title of this was Still Nothing Moves You. At this point, I probably just need to look at rehoming some of that Bridge 9 stuff, because I'm just not into that style of hardcore, I guess. And it all sounds identical to me. I just don't see the appeal to some of that stuff, but maybe one day I'll be in a mood for it and I'll open that up and love it, and then be smacking myself for waiting this long to check it out. Next up, another Gorehouse release. I got this one not too terribly long ago, a few months ago, in that mystery box where I did the t-shirt and 3 CD mystery box, and this was a standout in that particular box. It also this band just announced pre-orders for the new album, or just released a new album. I'm not sure yet. I need to look a little deeper into that, because I really enjoyed this little EP. This is a Cesspool of Corruption with Eradication of the Subservient. I believe this band is out of Texas, and this is just some kick-ass Texas death metal. I think they're out of Texas, and I think they've got like this New York kind of vibe going on, but they're straight out of Texas. So I don't know. Good stuff from Cesspool of Corruption there. Next up, we have some. I believe this band's out of Norway, Norwegian death metal, mellow death. This is Chain Collector with The Masquerade. This is a band that's kind of frowned upon by some people, but this particular release I do enjoy. Very catchy type mellow death on here. Not for everybody, but I do dig it. Very accessible. It's a very, I guess, accessible style of death metal, so that may turn some people off, but I thought that was a pretty decent release there from Chain Collector. Next up, we have Chain Reaction with Vicious Circle. This is a kind of heavy / thrash metal band. I think they're out of Spain. At this point, it all kind of runs together. But this is a pretty decent release here. I got this one on the super cheap. Actually, I got this one, I think, in a Colony Records like lot that this one came in. I think it came in a bundle with some other CDs. If this one didn't come in that bundle, the next one did, and then I liked it so much that I went and purchased one of the others. I know one came in the bundle, and I sought out one for purchase. This is Chain Reaction with Cutthroat Melodies. This one's pretty good as well. And the more that I think about it, I think this is the one that came in the kind of mystery box or bundle, and then this is the one I sought out and purchased on my own. But I don't know, man. There's so many album purchases. It's kind of hard to keep up with what came from where. But either way, they're pretty decent thrash metal, heavy metal, thrash metal hybrid. Next up, we have some metalcore. This is a bit darker metalcore. This is Chamber with a ripping, pulling, tearing. Someone was selling some stuff in a group that I was in, had some stuff going. I'd heard some things about this project and wanted to check it out. Not bad at all. Definitely enjoyed it more than I was expecting to. It's a group that mainly sells metalcore, deathcore, and a lot of stuff that I'm not super into anymore. But I picked this one up kind of on a whim to help out someone, and I actually ended up enjoying that one quite a bit. Next two are not metal at all. This is Chant from the Benedictine monks of Santo Domingo de Silos. This was very big round about late 90s, early 2000s. This was kind of all the rage. This got quite popular. It's just the chants from these monks. Very relaxing stuff. I will put this in sometimes and just kind of space out and meditate. I guess you could say good meditation type music. I also got the second chant 2 from the Benedictine monks of Santo Domingo de Silos. But both albums run about an hour long, and it's just, I mean, very relaxing. I mean, I don't know. It's hard. If you're into it, you're into it. If not, then something that you would probably just overlook and move on. Next up, we have some black metal. This is Chaos Moon with Languor into Echoes Beyond. Just kind of chaotic, crazy black metal. This one strays away from that kind of funeral doom feel that they had maybe in some of the earlier stuff. This is just a full-fledged black metal release. I think it says it was recorded in between 2004 and 2007, and it was released back in 2007. I had no idea it had been out that long. Unfortunately, this is the only Chaos Moon that I have in the collection. It is a project that I enjoy. I would like to seek out some more of their material because I do enjoy Chaos Moon. Next album is one that I got in a Season of Mist grab bag. This is Chaos Star with Anomomia. I don't remember much about this. I gave this a bit of a listen. It did not feel metal at all. I think this was like a orchestra type thing, and it was just not hitting right with me at all when I listened to it, and I just kind of shelved it and forgot about it until right now. So I'm not going to speak on that too much. Next up, we have some black metal out of Greece. This is pretty raw. It's not pretty raw. It's very raw. The bass is pretty much non-existent in the mix. It is a very difficult listen. I think it was kind of maybe done that way on purpose. But this is a Chaotic Symmetry, and I am in no way, shape, or form going to be able to pronounce that album title. It's super raw. I mean, if there are some melodies, there are some riffs in this, but the aesthetic of this is so raw. The dissonance is so raw. It'd be a very difficult listen for some of you guys. If you're into raw black metal, you might dig this. But I can say that, you know, there's some of you that would absolutely hate this as well. And then the last one for this is probably my favorite release in this whole stack that I've shown. This is from a band called Sharon. I know that there are probably 20 other bands that all use that same moniker. This is the black and death metal project out of Germany. And this album, entitled Sulfur Syrup, is absolutely fantastic. There's what the actual album looks like. As I said, it's black and death metal, but I mean, this is a stellar release. There's atmospherics that go on in this. It's bestial. I can't speak the praises of this enough. I need to change out the case because some of the teeth are a bit busted, apparently. I hope I didn't do that as I was moving it, because I don't remember them being busted. But there's the inside. I'm going to leave this one out to change out the jewel case immediately after this video. But this is a phenomenal slab of black and death metal. If you're into kind of atmospheric, you're into that bestial black metal, bestial black and death metal. Not quite war metal, But I mean, this is nuts, and I can't speak the praise of this album enough. So definitely check that one out if you don't take anything else from the video. That's all for this one. I will try to keep on going as much as possible and keep on going, getting through this series that I am enjoying going through and revisiting. Now I want to listen to this album after pulling it off the shelf. That's all. I'll see you guys soon. And, well, as soon as possible. Stay classy.